Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, today I thought I'm going to bring you some tips. First of all, tips that are making, when you're choosing your cruise, some things to do, and some tips when you're on the cruise to just maybe save you some money and maybe just make your trip more enjoyable and to make sure you're choosing the right cruise line and cruise ship for you. Because I see people making these mistakes all the time. So first off, let's talk about choosing a cruise line. So for instance, if personal service and small crowds and good food are important to you, well, you might be able to get some of those features on an Oasis class cruise ship, like, the Harmony of the Seas. But that's you're going to have a lot of people on it, so it's not hitting that criteria. You might get good food, things like that, good personal service, but will you get the same personal service you would get on a ship that, say, only holds 900 people? So you have to look at the different cruise lines for what you're going for. So for instance, myself, one of the big things I like to do when I'm going on a cruise is I like to make sure that there's good entertainment. That's where I spend most of my time. During the day, I might have a shore excursion, or I'm just working, going to the gym, walking around, just not doing a whole lot. In the evening, I like to take in the live music, the live shows in the theater, and whatever else is going on. So I like to choose my cruise line based on what kind of entertainment they have on board. So if that's important to you, you want to investigate what's actually on the cruise lines. And then once you decide, you know what, I think this cruise line's good for me, you also want to look at the individual ships. Because a lot of ships now have individual shows on them. For instance, as I mentioned, the Oasis class cruise ship. Well, the Oasis class cruise ship has a Broadway show that's different on every Oasis ship. So you might have a favorite Broadway musical. For instance, you really love Grease. Well then, hey, Harmony of the Seas is a ship for you because they have Grease on board. Maybe Footloose is for you. Well, another cruise line is doing Footloose as a Broadway show. There's lots of choices out there, but you can narrow it down to a direct ship if that might suit exactly your entertainment. Perhaps you're into classical music more than you are into popular music and Broadway shows. Well, perhaps then you might want to try a Holland America ship that has the Lincoln Arts Center on board, that has classic music all the time, as well as other kinds of entertainment like their Rolling Stones and B.B. Kings and things like that. But at least you know if you're classical music, you're going to be able to get that on board as well. Another thing you want to check out is reviews on food. Many cruise ships out there have good, I'd say good, main dining. The main dining is pretty good. It's acceptable. You're usually not going to get a 5-star Michelin star meal, but it's all good. It's tasty. It's hot when it comes. But there are some cruise lines out there that don't have as good a reputation when it comes to food. I'm not going to say what they are, but those reviews are out there, at least in this video I'm not going to say. When I go on those ships and I review the food, I definitely will tell you which ships I'm enjoying. For instance, I just got off Holland America's Newark, and the food on board was really good in every dining aspect that I tried. I tried specialty restaurant, I tried the main dining, and I tried room service and the buffet. All of it was good. All of it was good. So if food in the main dining is important to you, that's another aspect that you should be looking at. But if you're then thinking about, well, I like to have a variety of food choices, so I like to try all the different specialty restaurants. some cruise lines have more variety for specialty restaurants than other cruise lines. Even though they have almost the similar size ships, they don't always offer a huge variety. Some will offer an Italian choice and a steakhouse. And other than that, you have main dining, buffet, room service, and hamburgers up on the Lido deck. So food is another choice. So now let's say you decided on a ship for food and entertainment and size. You chose your cruise line, you chose your ship, and now you're on board. So what are some mistakes I'm seeing some people out there making? Well, before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything cruising, from all the cruise news to vlogs to ship designs to new ships coming out to checking out all the itineraries from across the world, please, I hope you'll join us here on the channel. We just have a lot of fun and we talk about cruising on a daily basis. I haven't missed a video in over 2.5 years. Fingers crossed I can keep that pace up. It's not easy, folks, but I hope you'll join us here. Yeah, it doesn't cost anything and I really, really do appreciate it. Okay, one of the big things I see people making a huge mistake in is that they feel, well, I only cruise once a year or maybe once every 2 years, and I want to get the most out of my cruise. So we have a 7-day cruise with 5 ports, and I'm going to book a shore excursion on every port. And sometimes they book 2 excursions on the same day because they just feel that they have to do everything. And then they get back from their cruise and they're exhausted. They need a vacation from their vacation. It's okay not to book a shore excursion at every single cruise port. In fact, I like to skip a day here and there in between my stops and just spend a day on a less crowded ship where there's more opportunity to just walk around and get a good seat by the pool, get good seats for trivia and entertainment, and just relax with not a whole lot of people around. And it's also sometimes a lot of fun to just walk off the cruise ship in the port you're in and explore on your own. Go for a walk. You will see sometimes some beautiful parks and some really interesting things all around the town that if you went on a shore excursion you would have missed. And also, shore excursions can be expensive, very expensive. On average, the average shore excursion for anything around 3 to 4 hours is over $100 to $150 a person. So if you're a couple, that's close to $300 every port for your excursion. And if you got 5 ports, that's $1,500 that you're adding on to the cost of your cruise. And it always feels like you're rushing and you got to wake up early, you got to go down, sit in the theater, wait for your number to be called to go on the shore excursion. It can be very time consuming and it can also make you exhausted. It really, really can. So I see a lot of people booking too many shore excursions there. Also, as I mentioned, specialty dining. Some people do like specialty dining, but some people say it's just a waste of money. It's just a waste of money. Those same people will spend $300, $400, $500 on a shore excursion to go out and look at a river someplace and a view and not spend $30 on a specialty steakhouse dinner because they think that's more expensive than that. Like, it's not as worthwhile as that. Sometimes the upgrade from some specialty restaurants is worth the money. For instance, one of my favorite specialty restaurants is on Royal Caribbean. It's Azumi Hibachi or Azumi Tapanaki, where they cook the meal in front of you. Well, I haven't had a bad meal at that restaurant yet, and I've tried it at many different ships on Royal Caribbean, and the food has always been great. It's one of those restaurants I will visit every single time I can. And it's also one of the most popular restaurants on the ship. So it enhances my cruise to have one meal there on a 7-day cruise and maybe one more specialty restaurant during the cruise. I like doing those things because it enhances my cruise and it's not as expensive. All my specialty restaurant meals that I did on my last cruise on the Noordam, which was 12 days, cost me less money than one shore excursion. And I ate at specialty restaurants 3 times. So that should just give you an idea of, yeah, why not indulge in a little bit of food and get that really good food while you're on the cruise ship. You know what? Another tip, how many times you get your SeaPass card and you have to, your lanyard, you put it on your lanyard. How many people walk out of their room and forget, I forgot my lanyard with my key card in my room? I have a bad habit of that when I go on a princess cruise because I have the medallion and it's a wristwatch type thing. And that's your key card, and so it's always on me. You never take it off. And then I go on my next cruise that doesn't have that, and it's a lanyard again, and I set it on the table, I do some work, and I said, oh, I'm just gonna run to the gym, and I get into my gym clothes and out the door, I forgot my lanyard. You know what I've started doing? I've learned when I come in to my room, I take my lanyard off right away, and I hang it on the doorknob to the stateroom. So it's what I see every time I leave my stateroom. It's a surefire way to make sure you never walk out of your room, or at least a better chance not to walk out of your room without your key card in your hand with your lanyard. It really does save you trying to track down your room steward or going all the way back down to guest services and say, yeah, I'm an idiot. I locked myself out of my cabin. Just take it off, hang it on the door. I found that really saves me a lot of embarrassment sometimes. As a cruiser, I've cruised so often, I should never forget that, but I do. I just do. So yeah, do that as well. So we've talked about dining, we've talked about entertainment, we've talked about types of ships, we've talked about saving the lanyard. What else can we do to make sure that we have a good time on a cruise? Well, one of the things I would always suggest is remember, things can go wrong. And it does not make any difference to get upset about it. You can mope around and say, oh man, I wish this didn't happen, blah, 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 and just let it wait on you, wait on you, wait on you. You're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna have a bad cruise. If you just, okay, well, things happen, let it go. What are we gonna do about it? Can't change life right now. Let's just move on. You're gonna have a much better cruise. Learn to let go of any disappointment. Roll with those punches, as they say. Roll with the unexpected. Any day on a cruise is better than any day at work. So remember that, because on my last cruise, I was so happy when I found out, because we had a full ship, 3,000 passengers. We had 3 ports canceled and rough seas for half the cruise and rain for 3/4 of the cruise, if not longer, and only 2 people went down to customer service to complain out of 3,000 people. That's how you roll with the punches. I had my favorite shore excursion that I couldn't wait to go to, Hobbiton, the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit city that you can go and visit and interact with the buildings and stuff like that. We couldn't go. And that was the main shore excursion I wanted to do. How disappointed was I? Very. Did I let it ruin my cruise? No. And if you don't let things like that ruin your cruise, you're going to have so much more fun. And if you're hanging out with people who will not let things go like that, and they just want to keep bringing it down, and like if you're traveling in a group with 5 or 6 friends, and one person is always, oh, remember 5 days ago when we couldn't do that shore excursion? Oh, I'm really disappointed about that. And then 4 more days. Oh, that shore excursion we missed. I hate that. Everything's... Distance yourself from that person on the cruise for a little while, because they're just going to bring you down. And there's no reason to bring you down because, like I said, any day on a cruise is better than any day at work. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, Have yourself a safe and a great vacation.